Welcome back to the Expired Podcast by Macy Bookout and Natalie Gard.
Camera A, camera B, audio, head slate.
Cute. Cute.
I feel like we've leveled up with a new camera angle.
And a new camera. Shout out.
Yeah.
iPhone 14.
Hey, I got a notification that I can get an upgrade.
Wait till September.
Well, I don't want those big old phones. They're
Like that one?
Yeah.
I love them big. Well, I'm on my phone constantly. I'm editing. I'm doing social media.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Watching TV.
If they would come out with one of the mini, like the 12 mini that I have, if they would come out with a new one that's mini.
Have you seen the ones that flip?
Old? Yeah, that would be interesting.
I don't think I could do it.
Is there a big gap? That's my thing.
Yeah, I don't think so. But I would slam mine all the time. You know how you used to
when you get
your
mad?
razor? Oh, that was the best feeling in the world. But I broke so many hinges by doing that shit.
Facts.
Oh, so how was Vegas?
It was good. The kids had fun, and they had fun wrestling. Bentley didn't want to wrestle because he wanted to golf. But Mavericks dual team won.
Is he going to be like a professional wrestler?
He has no idea how good he is, which is the beauty of it. Because he still doesn't even he doesn't take it serious.
Yeah, he's just having fun.
Because he's 6,
Yeah.
That they're not supposed to really take it serious.
Mm-hmm.
But he also wrestling is not his favorite sport. I think he prefers baseball and flag football both over wrestling. But if he sticks with wrestling, I mean, he's already a bad dude. So if he sticks with it, he'll be an Olympian one day or something. He's just naturally
talented.
Yeah, the best way to describe it, an artist, they see things in 3D. Mm-hmm. They see everything differently than other people. Mm-hmm. It's he can watch someone do a move, and as he's watching, he can feel how his body should move to do it.
Yeah.
Does that...
It's just a talent.
Yeah, he's just got this feel for it. His hips are really good, so he's really good about keeping his hips behind his opponent or above his opponents. And he never stops moving.
Yeah.
Which is key. His feet never stop. You could post this picture on the podcast. I got to show you a picture of there was a lot of sports events. There's a photographer there that takes pictures of everybody.
Yeah.
They got this picture.
Oh my gosh.
So that's actually
Joel. Is he smiling?
No.
Is he gritting?
Yeah, grunting, trying to make this move happen. So this is actually in the middle of what's called a Granby roll, which is super high level. Bentley's never even tried to Granby.
Okay.
Mav's been Granbyan. No, besides his coach Blake that had seen him try to do it a couple times. Then he pulled him in at the wrestling room at practice and was all right, I saw you're trying Granby. Let me show you A, B, C, D. And now it's bang, it took 10 minutes to get it perfected. But the fact that he could even watch it and realize I can do that. I know how to do that. That's why I call him a really mean roly-poly.
Yeah. Because
he just doesn't stop moving. But yeah, he's gonna be really good if he wants to stick with it.
Yeah.
He's just enjoying it right now.
Right.
Loves it, but he still has no idea how good he is. He's gonna be dangerous. I'll show it to you in live.
Did you get a new phone case?
I did. It's a charging one. It's freaking sweet. We got it at the at a store in our resort or whatever where we were staying. They had a tech store. Here we go. So he starts on bottom, Randy. And then he's out. So he gets a point for getting out.
Oh.
Most kids do other things. There are other moves you try for getting out from on bottom to get like your escape point or whatever.
I know nothing about wrestling.
It's very, it's really cool once you do know a little bit.
Yeah.
So he does again. Like, it's very, I mean, even at a high level, you really don't see people with like that in their tool belt, you know, like where they're confident in it.
Yeah.
And he's just like, bleh. It works. I don't know. He's a psychopath.
Did people come up to you? Like, did people recognize you?
Yes.
Really? How is that? Is that weird? Because now I just think, when I first met you, I was like that, like a fan.
Yeah.
But
now it's like, no,
you're just a person. Yeah.
It's always pretty, like, I would say congested, or like, I'm way more popular outside of Chattanooga because I grew up here. So
everyone knows.
Even
you.
if I didn't grow up knowing them, at this point, everyone's seen me somewhere or here or there or whatever. So anytime I'm outside of Chattanooga, it's pretty constant, like bang, bang, bang. Like normally I'll just find a corner and like stay there with all of us until we have to like go out on the mat or the field or whatever, just because I don't want to draw attention like away from my kids and stuff. But yeah, there were a lot of fans. It was cool though, because not everybody wanted like to take a picture. A lot of people just wanted to like talk and you know, talk about wrestling or talk about kids and stuff like that, which is always fun because I feel like they're treating me like as a human, you know, just as like a person, not like an animal at the zoo. But you're not gonna believe who was there.
Who?
So there's this guy walking around, me and Taylor, like, at one point we made eye contact, like, are you thinking what I'm thinking? That guy looks like this guy. And we were both just like, literally, we were like 20 feet away. And we were like, yeah, we're on the same page. And then we're thinking, like, there's no way, like, no one's bugging him for pictures. I'm talking like A-list. Okay? Like, big.
Celeb.
Yes. I'm like, nobody's bothering him. Like, it can't be him. It can't be him. Certain things I start remembering. Like, I remember reading an article where it was talking about different celebrities, whether it's like entertainers, professional athletes of different sports that grew up wrestling. And I'm like, holy crap, he was in that article. So, like, okay, flag number one that could be him. But still, I'll be honest, he was tall. Taller than I expected him to be. So, that was throwing it off for me. Like, that it's not him. Plus the fact that no one was bugging him for photos. His son was on Maverick's dual team. Great kid, great wrestler, like family's totally normal. But I'm like, God, that looks just like him. Then we realized like, oh, his son's last name is his last name. Is this really him? So Taylor's like, screw it, I'm getting out of Wikipedia. So he actually goes on Wikipedia, looks up like the son's name. We look up the kid's track wrestling profile because it says like what city you're from. So like Mavs would say Chattanooga, Tennessee. His son says Glendale, California, which is like Hollywood basically. And I'm like, oh my God, it is him. It's freaking Mario Lopez. Yeah. AC Slater.
Did you go up to him?
No. I mean, we had talked like Taylor and him had just like all the parents of the dual team, you know, you're constantly together watching every kid. Because it's about team points. So like your team has to score the most points based on these individual matches. So like we're like everyone is there and you know, like I said, like they're totally normal. Just like us, like it was at that point I'm like, no, he's just a dude. Like it's fun.
Dad and his kids wrestling.
Yeah. And like I was pleased to know that to be like, that's freaking Mario Lopez. And they're so normal. And they were so positive toward like their son and his wrestling and stuff like that. Like they weren't like, some parents are psychopaths. Like they're crazy. So I was just, I don't know, it was like a really cool first impression. But now it's like, damn, if we see Mario Lopez on the street, we'd stop and talk because it's just, he's, you know, Dominique's dad.
Yeah.
You know, like, it wouldn't be nothing. Like, I can't even, I don't even think I could see him, you know, all the different shows he hosts. I don't even think I could see him on TV now and not be like, shoot,
boy.
There's Dominique's dad. Look at that, you know?
That's funny.
But yeah.
What does his wife look like?
Very, and I mean this in like a very positive way, very posh. Like, kind of upscale, but in an approachable way. Like, she's very well put together, but not in like wears a bunch of makeup and her hair's done. Nothing like that. Just very chic in like a casual way.
Yeah.
And super. Just,
nice.
Just whatever. It's fine. I'm just like, holy shit.
That is crazy.
He's taller in person.
Yeah.
Than, I never knew how tall he is, but I did not, that's what kept throwing me off because I thought he was a little shorter, like on the shorter side of average. Everyone says that. Yeah. Everybody.
Yeah.
So, I'll take that over the camera adds 10 pounds. I'll take the camera adds a few inches. But yeah, Mario freaking
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Get it out.
No, I feel like the next time I'm going to be like, so I'm like DE list and people bug the shit out of me. Like, how are people not losing their minds?
Yeah.
Because if I had really put it together early on, everybody that came over just to say like, oh my God, can I get a picture? I would have been like, I'm not Mario Lopez is right there.
I'm not the one.
Go bug him.
That's hilarious. That is crazy.
Yeah. You never know what you're going to find in Vegas.
That's a good story.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
He's definitely one of the... I've met a lot of really, really famous people.
Like who? Who have you met?
A lot of people, actually. I would say the most famous, especially at the time when we met, he was the most famous person in the world. Guess.
Me guess?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, say... How old am I? About to be 32. So, like, 10 years ago.
In 2013?
11 years ago. Probably 2011, 2012. Like, the most famous human on the planet. And still is.
A boy or a girl?
Boy. Younger than me.
Justin Bieber?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you met Justin Bieber.
Yeah, and because he wanted to meet me.
Shut up!
I swear. Because his mom was a teen mom and they watched the show. Yeah. Crazy.
That's cool.
Yeah, we were doing this thing called the Upfronts in New York City. And our green rooms, like our own little rooms, were right next to each other. And I come back from the rehearsal and one of his people on his team was like, hey, or no, my best friend was there with me. She had stayed in the green room. She was like, you're not going to believe what just happened. I'm like, what? She was like, somebody from Justin's team just came over and was like, is Macy in here? And she's like, no, she's doing her rehearsal. And they're like, okay, well, when she gets back, next door is Justin Bieber's room and he really wants to meet her. And I'm like, how are you still alive? She was sweating.
That is so cute.
But he was pretty cool too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is he short?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I pictured him short.
I actually think then he hadn't even really hit puberty,
full
puberty yet, though.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like he's probably a little taller now, but I'd still say he's probably on the short side of average. But yeah.
That's crazy.
He was still like a teenager then.
Yeah.
Probably
Purple
like 16. Yeah, he was a kid.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, he's like, me and my mom are such big fans. I'm like,
that's dope.
I'm like, how do I speak?
Yeah.
I was trying to play it so cool.
Oh,
I think I did, but I'm like,
he wanted me doing those things. Like, what did I say?
Yeah.
How did I act? Always. The most famous person I think I've ever met was Lizzo.
Oh, you got to. Oh yeah. Dude, I would die.
I know, it was great. She's very, very tall.
I could see that.
She is very, very tall.
I love her.
I do too.
Everything about her.
Oh, I love her so much.
Yeah, she's great. She's somebody I would just want to hang out with.
Oh, for sure.
Like, just
and her, oh my gosh.
road trip. Carpool karaoke.
We had her come here a couple years ago, and it was right when Juice came out, and it was amazing. And I got to listen to her, what is it called, like, sound check. It was so good.
That would be awesome.
It was awesome.
She just seems like just the realest of the real, and hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love her. She also puts on a hell of a concert.
Yes, she does.
Woo!
Yeah. Top
3 for me.
Really?
Yeah. Yes. She's really good. Cardi B is really good too.
Really?
Yep. I would pay to see Lizzo again.
Oh, yeah.
Because, usually when you see somebody,
you're like,
they're great and all, but it's like you're going to wait a little while and maybe a couple albums to go see them again. No, I'd go see her like any chance.
Yeah.
It's on a hell of a show. Luke Combs does too. He's up there for me.
Yeah.
1 or 2. Beyonce puts on a good show.
I'm going to go see Beyonce.
You're not going to regret it.
I know.
And you'll be like drooling at her the whole time just because she's just
gorgeous. I'm excited about that.
Okay.
All right.
Shall we get into crime?
I guess we should.
We're going to kill the mood. Why do we always do that?
Kill the mood?
I'm going to go off your notes.
Okay.
A little bit.
So, I'm excited about this case because it is still ongoing. I feel like when we do cases like that, it's like, it feels better. It's like a more positive because it's still active.
Yeah. It makes me feel like these are the ones like we can actually like raise awareness.
Yeah.
And like actually do something. Whereas, I don't know, you still leave with a little hope, whereas the other ones are...
Yeah, just sad.
Yeah.
Sad endings. So, this is a case of a missing girl. Her name is Bethany Markowski, and she is born to Larry and Jonnie Markowski. So, Larry and Jonnie meet. They're like kind of casually dating. He would come over to her house, she would go to his house, and then she found out she was pregnant pretty early on.
Yeah.
So they decided
let's get married.
Yeah.
All the while, Larry is in fact married with children that basically living a double life. So when him and Jonnie are dating, she was told by him that his ex-wife had taken the kids and like ran off to Alabama, and he couldn't see them, didn't have a relationship with them, whatever.
Right.
She finds out that he in fact was still married and lived with his actual family, but when she would go over to his house, he would have his wife leave, and like his kids go a couple houses down and stay at his sister's house while she was there. So there were even instances that she says like they'd be driving down the street and pass by the house where his kids were, and they'd be playing in the yard, and they'd be waving at him, and she'd wave back and be like, oh my god, those kids are so cute. And like he would not even make a comment about
That's insane.
it. Bro, you can tell I've been hanging out with Bentley when I say bro. Bro, like...
That's, yeah.
Okay, I asked you this earlier. I don't know, wherever y'all are listening, you probably do have these. If you're not a part of them, you're probably going to go search them on Facebook and join them. But there are pages on Facebook that are like for, Chattanooga, North Georgia, or like Tennessee, East Tennessee area, like, are we dating the same guy?
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be like very anonymous, and kind of like girl code type of thing. He reminds me of someone that would be on in that group. Like someone would post him, and then somebody's gonna comment and be like, sis, he's got a whole ass family. Yeah. Like, he is married with children. Run.
Yeah.
But that is something that you see on those pages.
Oh, for sure.
Like, just straight up psycho, like narcissist.
Mm-hmm. I definitely think that.
Double life, like that's wild.
And she was already pregnant.
Yeah.
So he ends up getting a divorce from the first wife and marries Jonnie. And then they have a baby on February 1st, 1990, a little girl named Bethany Leanne.
Yep. You know, really from the time she was born, I feel like it started out like, even if he is a crazy person, pretty normal, like happy little family. They kind of, like, when they got married and had her, it was kind of like close, like no time really passed. So kind of an instant family. Mm-hmm. And, you know, she even says, like, and people that know them say that in the beginning, like when she was younger, he was a really good, just like normal dad and normal partner. But I think just like as years went on, I think one of the statements I heard was like, every candle added to the birthday cake for Bethany, like it got worse, and like he got a little bit odd, and more aggressive.
I think that's probably partially due to his narcissism. Mm-hmm. Like, he just needs to be in control of everything, and
everything needs to be about him.
And yes.
And it's like, once the kids get to a certain age, where it's not always about them, it's now about the kid, or the kids. He loses his footing in his narcissism. Yeah.
It happens. It happens.
It's crazy.
Well, things start getting not good. Jonnie describes, you know, just like some yelling and then some like smacking and just, and like it escalated.
Yeah. Jonnie said something that really like struck a chord with me too. She said it got to a point where if she disobeyed him, not the child, if Jonnie disobeyed him, then he would take Bethany away as like a punishment until she could like learn how to behave.
Yeah. No.
This is when I get like out of character. I'm like, I wish a motherfucker would tell me I need to behave and take my child. Like, what?
Yeah. Crazy.
I'd be in prison.
I know, you would be.
No, like that's I can't imagine actually being in that situation. That would be very scary.
Yeah.
It really would be, because you do have to walk a fine line, because you don't want something to happen to your kid, but you're also married to this person, so it's not, you really can't just like up and run.
Right.
It's got to be very plotted out, and that would be, I don't know, that's just not cool.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So it got worse and worse, the abuse. It was actually causing Bethany, who was like a pretty sassy, kind of spunky, funny little girl, to become anxious.
Yeah.
Like she bit her nails a lot.
Just very nervous and scared. Anxious, like not in a eager way. Anxious, like sad. In a not knowing how to deal with all the emotions that are popping up. Just having to be around him and in this environment and stuff. Which I will say too, like as she gets a little older, I'm glad that her spunkiness and sassiness, like her flame wasn't put out by what would become like kind of a disaster and a divorce and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I will say I give kudos to her mom and any other loved ones that kind of kept that fire in her going.
Right.
Because at that age, for a girl especially, it'd be very easy to just kind of turtle shell. Like, lose everything about who you are because you're afraid of getting in trouble.
Right. So after, you know, it's just continuing to get worse, Jonnie devises this plan in January of 2001. January of 2001. And she packs up as much as she can fit in her little car She unenrolls Bethany from her school.
That's my kind of girl.
Yeah.
Action.
Yeah. She was going to move in with her sister and her sister's husband right outside of Nashville. They were living in Jackson. So I thought this was hilarious because when they were walking out of the school and Bethany caught on to
like sees all the stuff is in the car.
She's and
being unenrolled from this school.
She yells in the parking lot, "Are we leaving Daddy?"
Yeah. See, very clever little girl. Yeah. Like very smart. Obviously very, she studies things.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I think that is a trait.
Oh, it is.
Kids pick up. Anybody picks up, but especially kids pick up studying their environment, studying the small things, studying body language, listening without looking, listening without speaking.
Yep, they hear everything.
They're a little sponge and they let their little brain go to work. So she's clearly a very smart kid.
Yeah.
Because for her to just be like, A, B, C, O, I'm to F now. We're leaving Daddy.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. And she's happy about it.
She's very happy about it. She even says, are my nails going to grow back?
Yeah. So, thinking, okay, now I can stop
biting.
Like, I won't be so anxious to have to resort to that.
Yeah. I bite my nails all the time. It is totally...
I do too. If I don't have nail polish on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they pack up and they head to right outside of Nashville. They are trying to keep a low profile because they don't want Larry to find them. So they get Bethany into a school, get things kind of settled in their room at her sister Lori's house.
I think he was capable of more than what has been told or documented.
Yeah.
I get the vibe that even in things that are provided and facts and evidence of their relationship, I get the vibe that Jonnie is still trying to protect herself by kind of protecting him. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
if I could stay just on this side of the gray line, I'm not gonna get the wrath. I'm not really gonna have to fear him.
Yeah.
So as long as I just stay right here on the gray line and don't go into the darker side of the gray line, I'll be safe enough.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I think so. I mean, because if you're gonna run away,
right,
you're gonna run.
And if you're unenrolling your kid and then moving somewhere without telling anyone where and enrolling your kid in another school and letting the school know A, B, and C, this person's not allowed here. They do not, my kid, no one can know my kid goes to school here. That's
a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So sketchy situation.
Yeah. So Larry finds them. Unfortunately, he
figures out what school she's at.
Yeah, and just barges in.
Yeah, and goes to the a side or a back entrance.
Yeah,
it doesn't sketchy.
Yeah.
What? Red flag number 1: if somebody is entering through not the main entrance of the school, something is up.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah, so he goes in through a back door, goes into the classroom, yanks Bethany out of her desk, pushes her teacher out of the way. Luckily,
it's physical with teachers.
Luckily, Bethany, being the spunky girl that she is, she's screaming, so other teachers were able to intervene. Thank God.
Yeah.
But now their location is
given up. Yeah. So they end up, after this incident, Jonnie and Larry go to court. Jonnie files a restraining order against Larry, and it is granted, and it is a no contact order. So absolutely zero contact whatsoever. with that being said, he also is granted visitation, so every other weekend with Bethany. And this is where, for me, I'm like, oh, this is not a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why. Maybe
the system failed.
Yeah, like, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. So his visitation is obviously unsupervised. You know, she just goes there every other weekend,
Mm-hmm.
comes back, goes there Friday, comes back Sunday.
The
2 weeks
sister
later, same thing.
drops her off.
Yeah, Larry and Jonnie, clearly there's no contact. They cannot have contact. So there's a middleman, there's a middle location, like, from where they both are. Which, from experience, having an order of protection and a restraining order against my child's other parent, that he did not go to be in the custody and care of, besides a restraining order and everything, like, no custody was ever court ordered, and we were never married, so this was all voluntary. But this was like, he was going to be with his grandparents, and if his dad was going to be there, cool. But his grandparents, the parents were in charge, and they had to be there at all times, or that plan wasn't going to work anymore. You know what I mean? So I can't imagine having a restraining order against someone and then having to send my child to be with this person for 3 days when we cannot contact each other.
That would be rough.
I don't understand how the system thought that's not a good idea.
It was 2001. It could be a sign of the times.
It might be. I don't think it happens as often, but I think stuff like that still happens today.
Yeah, it totally does.
Which is
mind blowing.
Like, that's backwards. That doesn't make sense.
A lot of stuff in the government is backwards these days.
Facts.
So stupid.
Facts.
Anyway, this is January of 2001. By March 4th of 2001, it was Bethany's second visit with her dad. He got her Friday evening, was going to drop her back off with Lori, Jonnie's sister, at 5 o'clock Sunday. So, what they did was, and this is where the story gets a little crazy because Larry's story is just weird.
Kind of bizarre, yeah.
And it changes. So, Bethany and Larry stayed with Larry's friend Harold in Arkansas on Saturday night. There was plans of Bethany going skating, but that didn't happen. It was weird. Then the next day, they were going to drive back to their hometown of Gleason. And they got there about 9 o'clock. This is going to come up. The last thing that Harold says that Larry said was he was going to leave his van in Mexico and Harold could come down there and get it.
Yeah, he was going to drive to the border in his van and he was going to leave the van there. And that if Harold wanted to go get the van, then he could and it would be his.
Weird.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much weight it holds because there were really like no details for any what. So Larry just randomly said like, "Hey, by the way, driving to Mexico, my van will be there. You can have There's no depth to the conversation.
Yeah,
there are no other. It's like just It's like there were conversations that maybe happened before, but Harold didn't want to tell all that.
Yeah.
You know, it was very...
It was just like a weird statement that was made. So, keep that in mind. On Sunday, March 4th, 2001, Bethany calls her mom, Jonnie, at 9:38 a.m. Jonnie recalls the conversation sounding like Bethany was like on speakerphone and her voice was like kind of shaky. And
she sounded nervous.
Yeah, nervous. And Bethany told Jonnie, quote, "Mama, Daddy knows you have a boyfriend." And Johnny's like, "What are you talking about?" And she could hear, like, Larry in the background, like, irate about
Yeah,
this
she said
boyfriend.
she thought it sounded like she was on speakerphone, and she could hear him in the background, like,
Tell her.
yeah, tell her I know
Yeah.
about her boyfriend, tell her I know, like, we're at his house or whatever.
And it ended up being, like, an ex-coworker or something.
Yeah.
Like, obviously just, like, in a rage. And that was the last time Jonnie would ever speak to her daughter.
Yeah,
She
I
was
think
just
her
like, it's
mom.
okay. I'll see you at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, Bethany was like, I'll see you. Okay, I'll see you there. And, like, that was all. That was it.
Yeah.
Like,
Got off the phone very
and
quickly.
I feel like some people might take that as, like, why didn't Jonnie, like, say anything else to, like, comfort her? But I think in that moment, if I'm putting myself in Jonnie's shoes, it's like, you're not physically there, and you're not able to, physically be there in 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to create any more chaos for the situation your child's in. Bless you.
Oh, allergies, man.
Yeah. The worst part's when the sneezes go away. Like
I
when
know.
they come and then you don't sneeze.
Yeah.
And then your whole face just itches.
Yeah.
It's awful.
But yeah, she just wanted to make the situation.
Yeah, I think she's like, I can't do anything about this situation, like, right this moment. So I for damn sure don't need to make this situation worse.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it's all right. It's going to be okay. I'll see you at 5. Like, almost just putting that thought in her head, like, you're only going to have to deal with this till 5 o'clock.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
At 5 o'clock, you're out of that situation.
Yeah.
It's all going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's such a shitty situation.
Yeah, I know.
Ugh.
So on Sunday, the two, Larry and his daughter Bethany, arrive at the Old Hickory Mall in Jackson, Tennessee. Fun fact, did you know that was the first original Hard Rock Cafe?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that mall.
Yes.
That's
Which
crazy.
is so interesting. It makes sense, though. If you think about, like, what Old Hickory was compared to, like, what Nashville is now, like, where that is located is kind of, like, the outskirts of, like, where... I think they were kind of trying to figure out where the big suburb of Nashville was going to be.
Mm-hmm. They arrive at the mall between 1:30 and 2:30, and Larry allows Bethany to go into the mall. She wanted to go to a game room and Claire's, and allows this
being 11, going to Claire's, man.
Yeah, that was the best.
Yeah, it was the best day.
I got my ears pierced, not at Claire's, but do you remember Libby Lou?
Yeah.
Oh,
Libby Lou was awesome.
Libby Lou was the shit.
Yeah, it was.
So he is gonna take a nap in his car, lets her go in, figures she'll be out in a half hour. When he wakes up and she's not back, he decides to go in the mall.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about our thoughts on an 11-year-old going into the mall?
Yeah.
At this time. So, like, this is 2001. So, in 2001, she's 11 already because her birthday's in February. At this point, it's March. So, she's 11. I was 10, gonna be 11. Moms and dads are different.
Mm-hmm.
They're still different today, but the gap in parenting from, like, mother to father, even then, like, leaps and bounds different, right? My mom would have taken us to the mall, and maybe we go in Claire's while she goes 2 doors down, maybe. But my mom was not, I don't want to say she was, like, overprotective, but she was just like, no, I'll just sit outside or, like, come in the store with y'all.
Mm-hmm.
No, I had friends whose moms would have been like, okay, y'all go, what stores are y'all going to? Okay, I'm going to go to these stores. We'll meet back in the food court in 45 minutes. Which nowadays that would never happen.
Yeah, no, it would never happen to you.
But even my dad, like...
My dad would let me go in the grocery store by myself all the time.
Yeah, no, same. Mm-hmm. But, like, where there's, like, really just one entrance, one exit, versus, like,
stores.
No parent that I know when I was 10, 11 years old, would have just let me alone
Yeah.
go into a mall by myself.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't Walmart, or, like, not saying Walmart's safer,
I know.
because it ain't. But, you know, it's not like a grocery store,
Yeah.
a gas station.
Yeah.
You're in a strip mall and it's one store you're going in,
Your
and they're
parents
parked
would
right out front.
Go
Like,
with you.
yeah. And, like, if anything, sit on, like, the little benches outside the stores or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but not, like, they wouldn't even do that with friends with me.
Oh,
but
yeah.
by myself,
By yourself, no.
that's weird.
That is weird.
But not saying people didn't do that. I'm just saying,
Yeah, it was probably more common then, but still odd.
not a good decision.
Not a good decision.
Yeah.
So he's taking a nap. He wakes up, realizes she's not there. Now she had been to this mall before.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she knew where Claire's was.
Right.
What girl
Doesn't know where Claire's is? Yeah, from every entrance.
Exactly. So that was another reason he said he let her go in alone. So he goes in to try and look for her, and he goes to Claire's, he goes to the game room, can't find her, actually runs into one of her friends from like a few years before that, Hillary, and Hillary starts looking for her too. She said, I hadn't seen her. It's like 2 hours.
Do we know, is Hillary's parents with her?
I don't know. I feel like her mom was with her.
That's what I thought too.
Okay. So they're searching for her for hours. He was unable to locate her and contacted the mall security, who then got in touch with law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
So they got there 1:30, 2:30, somewhere in there, and law enforcement wasn't called until 5:15. Yeah.
How long was this nap? You said an hour?
Yeah. Half hour. That's a long time to not call
Well,
the police.
I'm thinking maybe he went in and was looking and stuff, so we could, if his story is exactly what happened, we could say she went in at 1:30?
Between 1:30 and 2:30.
Okay, so then we'll call it 2. He sleeps for an hour, that's 3. Wakes up, realizes like she's not back, goes in the mall, looks for her, probably 30 minutes or so, finds a friend or sees her old friend. They look again kind of for another 30 minutes. Gets mall security. Mall security probably did like a basic like
Sweep
check while they're also like telling, you know, their head of security like, this isn't panning out. There's like no sign of her. So it's not that
wild.
that far-fetched for law enforcement to not have been called, given that this was, 20 plus years ago. But this is also why you don't let a child go into a freaking shopping mall by themselves. Like, duh.
Yeah. Duh. So, it's 5:15. Now, he was supposed to meet Lori at 5. And Lori's calling, no answer. It was like his phone was dead or something.
And Lori is the
Jonnie's sister.
The sister that does the pickups and drop-offs because there's the no contact order.
Right.
Yeah, so Lori's trying to get a hold of him. Can't.
Finally, after law enforcement gets there, and they were able to examine the security footage of the mall, because it was 2001. They did have cameras, not great cameras, but security footage at the mall. They never have any signs of Bethany going in any stores.
Nothing. At all.
Sus.
Very.
Yeah, it can't even be proven that she walked in.
Yeah.
So
even like from the parking lot.
Yeah, even from the parking lot.
There is zero.
Yeah, nothing.
Zero of Bethany on any of the cameras. AKA, she was not there.
Yeah, seriously.
Ever.
Yeah. Why a mall? If he did something to her, why a mall?
because it's a big enough space for all the checks to happen and all the false sightings and things.
Yeah.
It spends time, wastes time.
That's true. So the mall closes at 6. They're still searching. Everyone's gone at this point, so that would be in their favor, law enforcement. And then they head to the police station to question Larry and Jonnie separately. While this is all going on, Larry does finally call Lori back and explain what was happening. Lori then calls Jonnie. Jonnie finds a friend to bring her to Gleason. And Jonnie, because she was going through this divorce, had a lawyer, and her lawyer just so happened to be eating with her husband in Jackson, where they were. So they're at the mall. Lori gets there first, then Jonnie's lawyer, and then Jonnie. And then they're taken to the police station for questioning.
Also, don't you feel like the mall, like, they should have locked it down?
Yeah, they should have.
Right? Like, maybe not back then, but like in today's world.
Oh, yeah. Lockdown.
Yeah, lockdown. All the doors are shut and locked. No one can leave.
Yeah.
Enter or leave.
Yeah.
So, but again.
I feel like this was on Law and Order SVU. Like, back in the day, there was a kid who
Really?
got lost in the mall, and like she was found like barely alive somewhere. Someone had did something and like hit
Probably.
her.
They do a good job of like covering current case things.
Yeah, but this was like forever ago.
Yeah.
So I guess it is plausible if they thought of it. So police noted that while questioning both of them about their whereabouts, what's going on, all the things, Larry would like fall asleep in between, on breaks or whatever. And police noted that, he was always sleepy and drowsy when they would talk.
Yep.
But Jonnie was like in hysterics and praying and acting like
one of
a
the
concerned mother.
Yeah, one of the main investigators, I think for TBI, even still, like recently, would say like she has never seen a parent or a father of a missing child behave in the manner that he was. Like just the
lack of
almost like
excitement to figure this out.
No urgency, no interest, almost as if he was so tired and exhausted from the investigation and like answering the same questions and like just uninterested in cooperating, not being uncooperative, but not by any means trying to be involved.
Right.
Which I feel like any parent, divorce, a parent's gonna be calling investigators every day.
Yeah, for sure.
Probably multiple times a day,
And helping them.
Yeah, like, hey, have we thought about this? Hey, I heard this. Hey, I forgot something.
Yeah.
Hey, someone mentioned this. Hey, have we looked at, like, to a point of, like, being a nuisance, kind of. So the fact that he just seems so unbothered, but too tired to be bothered with this.
Red flag.
This guy's got red flags popping up all around him.
Yeah, he does. So while they're investigating and talking to both parents and, noting all these different things, law enforcement could never rule out a stranger abduction.
Yeah.
The only information they had to go on was Larry's story, so that's what they had to do.
I also found it interesting that one of the lead investigators mentioned they actually never spoke with him. Like TBI. They never interviewed, never one time spoke with Larry.
That's crazy. Because it was just all local police,
How does
I guess.
that work, though?
I mean, they don't have anything to hold him, so they can't talk to him forever. Once TBI is, like, notified and gets a hold of the case.
Yeah, but like, why haven't they?
I'm sure they've tried.
But like, at some point, you can subpoena somebody. You know,
Maybe
like,
there's just not enough evidence to do that. I don't know.
That's mind blowing. That's another thing in the system. I'm like, wait, how is this not? So the last person to see her, and the person who was in charge of her
and her well-being, how could you not charge them?
Or how could you not have a warrant to question them?
Yeah.
And make them come talk to you. That's lost on me. That don't make sense.
Yeah.
Either. So, for lack of information, there's not a lot on the investigative process. There's not a lot on other potential leads, or obviously a stranger abduction is something that's possible, but like, for the simple fact that there was no proof or security camera footage of her ever actually even going into the mall, being at the mall, even in the parking lot. There's really not a lot of information that's been released, again, because ongoing cases, a lot of stuff is kind of kept under wraps for the safety and integrity of the investigation. But since April or March, when she was last seen by anyone in 2001, there have been a few different reported sightings of her. A few of them, actually a lot of them being in April of 2001. Someone spotted her like at a school, trying to be enrolled at a school with a lady.
She had blonde hair, older, like
40 something, kind of ragged.
Yeah, but she wasn't allowed to be enrolled because she didn't have any paperwork
for the girl. Then she was spotted at a cafe with the same lady
3
days in a row. That's actually in Cleveland, like right up the road. You need to go there.
I feel like they were at City Cafe or Denny's. Like, those would be
very
the hot
likely
spots.
They could have been at what's the place with a really good chicken salad sandwich? It's like a locally owned place in Cleveland. Jenkins Deli.
Yeah.
Could be that.
That's what I pictured in my head when I was hearing this. So,
best chicken salad in the whole freaking world, by the way.
Better than chicken salad chick?
Yes.
Oh.
No, it's like my mouth's watering thinking about it. But 3 days in a row, she's spotted at, or allegedly spotted at, a cafe with the same lady that was trying to take her to a school. Then...
And she looked like drunk, like just not kept.
Yeah, kind of haggard.
Yeah.
Haggard.
She
because they said like in her 40s, but she is constantly described as like old. So like, to me, 40s is not old.
Yeah.
So she kind of run down.
Yeah.
Just kind of haggard.
Yeah, blonde hair, but like frizzy, just doesn't look right. And the fact that she's in this cafe 3 days in a row with this kid, like in the middle of April, that's weird. And luckily, the waitresses there thought it was weird, and they took a picture of them. Later that same day, after they'd been at that cafe for 3 days, she used the payphone to call a cab.
That was at the deli.
To go to the bus station. She got a ticket to Illinois, and while she was waiting to board the bus, another mom with a young boy, like, tried to make conversation, like, you know, moms do that with their kids, and she was just very standoffish, and she thought it could have been Bethany. Yeah. So she called police, and they actually met the bus in Illinois, and didn't allow anyone to get off the bus. They checked it, but they weren't on it. Yeah. And even the photograph, like, none of the leads, like,
from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, but like all the possible sightings have been investigated and like checked thoroughly. Nothing has come, and there are a few others besides that, but they weren't so spot on too, and they've been like years later.
But it was odd that in the same month and around the same place.
With the same lady.
Yeah, with the same lady. And Jonnie was actually told by police that they found Bethany. Like, she went out and, like, bought clothes and welcome home stuff. Because she thought Bethany was coming home.
Yeah.
Because she saw the picture of the lady and the girl in the cafe, and she said that's her.
That's her.
Yeah.
And she still stands by that, too, is that girl was Bethany.
Yeah.
So, she's still missing.
The only other thing I read was several years after all of this happened, in April of 2001, several years later, a family in Tennessee came home and found a young lady on their porch, laying out, and she just seemed confused and like barefoot, and so she asked for help, and the couple call police. She runs off, but they do find her and take her to a hospital to be like checked out. At first, she said her name was Sarah Nicole Jackson. Jackson is where they're from.
Right.
So that was kind of odd. And then she said, no, I'm Bethany Markowski. She looked similar to Bethany.
Knows her birthday.
Knows her birthday. Knows her name.
Birthday, her name.
Knows, when shown a picture, she's like, yeah, that's me and my mom.
Yeah. And nothing...
Also had a birthmark on her chest.
That matched Bethany's.
It's not her.
Yeah.
Oh, it was such a letdown.
Yeah.
I was like, we're going to find her.
Yeah. I know investigators, since this is an open case. Yeah. Investigators obviously, you've got to keep the mindset of she is still alive. We still have to find her. Her mom, I know... has mentioned several different times over the course of, the past few years, that most days her mindset is, yes, she's still alive, because that's what has to keep her going, because there's also zero proof that she is not alive, which I can't imagine what that would be like. Because we're talking, this was in 2021, she was 11, it's now 2023.
This happened in 2001.
Yeah, and she was 11, so now she's 20.
30 something?
She's 32. Yeah. It would be very difficult to think that your child who went missing at 11 has surpassed the age of like 17 to 23.
Yeah, without coming forward.
Yeah. Stockholm, obviously we discussed that, like that's a very real thing.
And she's 11, so it's not like she forgot.
Right.
Unless trauma has just...
Yeah.
She's had to make up this story of who she is and
survive in it, because that's the only way to survive. Yeah. I'm big on, there's realistic expectations and realistic understanding, but I'm also big on, like, there is no proof that she has been unalived or she is expired, so
I would just hold on to that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We're gonna post some of the sketches, like, what's the word?
Age progression.
Yeah, age progression sketches of like what she looked like then, what she would look like today. Yeah. And obviously, like, this goes back to like, if you think it, you should call.
Yeah. But sign of the times, one. But I feel like no one knows how to deal with their child missing.
No.
So
No.
They stayed out of the spotlight when that's the exact opposite of what they should have been doing.
Right.
And then that was because law enforcement advised them of that. Like,
Yeah,
call ASAP.
Yeah, don't.
Report ASAP. You do
Yes.
not have, there is no such thing as you have to wait 48, 72 hours.
No.
There's no such thing. They have to take your report, period.
Yes.
And do it as quickly as possible.
Yes. As soon as you're like,
Yeah.
that could be, this could be, call. You could call local law enforcement.
Mhm.
You can, like, literally, you can even call 911. But you could call TBI.
Call everybody. Get the
Whether
fakes
you're
out
in
there.
Tennessee or not, just call local law enforcement and tell them what you know. And don't just tell them and hang up the phone. Ask them who you need to get in touch with. Where is this information going to go?
Mhm.
And then follow up
Yeah.
with it too. Make sure that your tip or what you saw or what could be, make sure it gets in the hands of the people who are invested in this case. Because that those little things, those are game changers.
Yes, they are.
Absolute game changers. And we also wanted to mention that Bethany's mom, Jonnie, she is a big advocate for parents getting involved and having their children participate in the National Child Identification Program, which is basically, where they will have fingerprints, they will have updated photos of your kids, like, every year. And I know in today's world that can be, just as a parent, I'm thinking, like, would I do that?
Mm-hmm.
Not so sure. But just because right now, like, just off the top of my head, I'm like, I'd have to look into this, like, what it's actually about.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean that some of you, like, aren't like, yep, I'm doing it tomorrow. But this is just very helpful for law enforcement.
If it ever happens.
If it ever happens and your child does go missing, then they have fingerprints, they have updated photographs, different characteristics, physically, or birthmarks, things like that.
Yeah.
Height, weight, just certain things that it's on hand for them. So it's easier to say, like, that doesn't match the description, or holy crap, this is a total match.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's the National Child Identification Program. And I do think that if this existed, even like 40 years ago, like, what a difference it would be for kids that did go missing.
Mm-hmm.
And some did make it home, some did not. But definitely something to look into if you're a parent, or if you have friends that are parents, or you have nieces and nephews, talk to your brothers and sisters about it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
So we'll definitely keep you up to date with this case on social media. So follow us on all platforms and subscribe to our YouTube channel to get early access to the episode on Monday. Hopefully next Monday I will not sound like this. I'm dying.
Same. You sound like I sounded on Wednesday.
And I have to talk on the radio. Like,
yeah,
that's the worst
and it makes
part.
it worse because
Oh.
your voice is fatigued.
Yeah.
If y'all have any other information on this and you're like, I don't know where to take this, seriously, feel free to send it to us, because we will make sure it gets to where it needs to be, but we will also look into it ourselves.
Oh yeah, totally. I love getting messages from listeners because
it's so intriguing.
It's so intriguing. It's so insightful. Like, they know the
stuff
story
that people don't know. Yeah.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it. So
it's stuff
send
that
us
hasn't
all
been
this-
edited.
Yeah.
Please send us information, and also reach out with any information on any of our cases, but also any cases that you think we should look into and possibly cover on an episode. And like we mentioned last time, we're really looking to do some travel cases. So if you're not in the Tennessee area or Chattanooga area, and you know of a local case or were involved in one, throw it to us too. We'll definitely look into it. But
I love that.
if you're going to be an asshole, be a nice one.
And don't do that. That's always her clothes.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. This is the Expired Podcast.
Bye.
As always, thank you so much for listening to the Expired Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get early access to our episodes out each and every Monday. Catch up on other missing persons cases. We've covered Summer Wells, as well as Chloe Leverett and Gage Daniel. Thanks so much for listening to the Expired Podcast.